It's 3-yard time, and I'm finally breaking into the stash busting book for this one. So I haven't quite piled up different scraps and stuff, but that's what I'll hopefully be doing this next week for next week's video to kind of get a scrappier one. But for this video, I am looking at, I keep coming back to this same one. I'm going to do this Elation quilt. And so let me show you the fabric that I have that you've seen before and see where we can go from there. So let me grab that. So our main fabric is going to be these super cute flowers again. I have a whole bunch of this, so it's going to be put to good use. And then next up for another fabric, we have the polka dots that I got from the free table from the guild. So that is fabric number 2, and I have yet to decide which one's going where. And so for fabric 3, I have 2 chunks that are previous quilt back pieces. So they're both yellow because after doing the last one of these with the bright blue and the yellow stripe, I was like, we know yellow looks good. I thought about doing green, but I found these on my floor and I was like, those are it. So I'm leaning more towards, once you see these together, so there it is with the bright one, but because this is a softer blue, I think I'm leaning more towards this to kind of give it a little bit of a softer feel. And I think that's what I'm gonna go with my colorway. So this, for Elation, this is gonna be my center square. And then these are gonna be the framing around it. I think that's gonna be a nice soft combo to kind of frame this up because it kind of pulls into those flowers there. And so if I need to pull something else for my binding, I've either got some of this or I have some yellow tone on tone. I do still have some of the stripes from last time, but I don't know if it's enough or how it matches to this. So I'm gonna iron these out, find my yards for each of them, and then start cutting. So all my pieces are cut and ready to go. And I feel like this Elation quilt's gonna go pretty quick because here's the centerpiece here. And then these are all the borderings that go around them to kind of give them that look. And it's actually not half square triangles that are gonna get made. These, I believe, are gonna just corner off here and then flip and stitch, so to speak. And so I just have to do those, and then it's gonna be time to sew these blocks together. So I'm gonna stitch a whole bunch of these together, make my little stitch and flips, and then we're gonna have some rows to make. So here's the blue bordered block and then the yellow one. So as you can see, they're just a little reverse of each other. So now it's time to sew them into rows. So it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And so do that twice. So 3 rows, 3 blocks across, 4 rows down to get our 12 block quilt. And then it'll be time to put on borders. Here is the completed Elation quilt top, and I'm quite pleased with it. I do think that this would have been fun to do scrappy. I was kind of thinking about it as I was working on it. In the book itself, so remember this is from the stash busting book, it says that these could be swapped out for a layer cake, which those would be really cool as like a focal print or a really big print. I know I say cave a lot because I think of those big giant flowers. But then I also think of like some of my big Disney prints, or if you have like a panel. I know panels are sometimes hard to work with, but if you have a panel that's that size, you could totally fussy cut those squares, or even some of those big like Alexander Henry prints. I know those have some really big, really bold prints to them, or Tula Pink, or all sorts of things. There's so many different cool things you could do with fussy cutting into these squares. So those you could easily swap out. And one way that I was thinking that this could be done with your stash or your scraps is to do each of these like a different color. So like if you had a bunch of scraps, cut one set for a block in like pink, and then one set for a block in orange, and one set for a block in yellow. Or if you have a bunch of pinks, just do all different pinks on these, or whatever your accent color for your block is. So then you're using up your scraps and still kind of coming up with this, even if you don't have the full 3 yards that it says that you need. And then you could do whatever you want on your border. As you know, with last quilt that I did, you can piece in your border so it doesn't have to be perfectly like this, or make your border whatever size you want. And so I am quite pleased with how this came out again, and I'm already thinking of ideas of how to quilt it, so we'll stay tuned for that. But I'll give you an up close look so you can see how this one varies from the other version, which was done with a much brighter yellow and a much brighter blue. And then come back real soon for the quilting and completion of this.